What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Turn Boys podcast. A few things I would like to mention before you get started. We've been approved on both Google Podcasts and Radio Public, so feel free to listen on there. As well as that, I had an individual interview last week with Jackson Sauter. If you haven't already checked that out, check that out. He has a fashion launch happening on August 23rd, so it already happened. But for today, we have a guest that I've known for a little bit. Like I said in the last individual podcast, I always like to have a little intro for all my guests. So for this one, I would like to intro the entrepreneur, influencer, and dear friend of mine, Dre Medici, everyone. There we go. If you don't mind, Dre, would you please give a little introduction to who you are and what you're all about?
All right, thank you so much, Gavin, for having me. I really appreciate it, man. My name's Dre Medici. If you guys don't know me, I'm the CEO of Good Life Express. I used to be the CEO of WOMP, but then I realized that you can transform someone's body, but just having an amazing body isn't going to give them a life that they truly love, because there's a lot of more factors that come into life, like love, being financially stable, wealth, being truly happy. So I decided to create a product, which is a life-changing digital course that teaches you exactly how to achieve these four major key components of life, so that you can live a life that you truly love every single day, that you're happy to wake up to, and that you have a life filled with dreams and purpose and a why and a reason. And so that's what I'm currently working on. I'm trying to create a life-changing movement where I can be able to have millions of people around the world, maybe trillions, billions, as many people as I possibly can, have them join this life-changing course, this life-changing community, and hopefully have a huge impact on so many people's lives, which is my passion.
Okay. I know that you are an entrepreneur, and obviously that sparks from somewhere. So I'd just like to ask how you think your parents had an influence on this whole thing.
All right, well, that's a cool question. So I'll tell you how it all started. I'll go really deep into it. I don't really mind.
Yep.
But basically how it all started, when I was 2 years old, I moved from Uruguay, which is a country in South America. And I got to Miami, and my parents got divorced when I was 3 years old. Both of my parents struggled very deeply financially. So my dad came with like almost nothing. My mom came with almost nothing. And so they got divorced right when they got here too. So it was kind of just like I never really grew up with any money. And then so when I was like 6 years old, my mom married my stepdad, who's an amazing person, but he happened to be wealthy. So when my mom married him, I moved into a big house, right? Something that I had never seen, because I grew up extremely poor. Not extremely, but you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have anything that I wanted, right? It was all just like I had my needs. I wasn't like, like I had food on the table. I'm not saying I was extremely poor, but you understand, I didn't have anything luxury. When my mom moved, when me and my brother moved into my stepdad's house when we were 6 years old, it was something that we had never seen before. We saw a house that we didn't even think was possible, because we had never even been around neighborhoods like that. So it was just like a huge shock for both of us. At the same time, we were still doing split time with my father. And with my father, we were struggling, and we were living in a house that barely even had a roof. So when it would rain, we would get little drips of rain on. We only had one bed in the whole entire thing, in the whole entire house. It was just like one flat bed, but without a mattress, just on there. We had one TV, no cable. We would just rewatch Pirates of the Caribbean every single night, us three in a bed. And what we would do to have fun, we would just catch lizards. We would go to McDonald's on Friday to like celebrate a good week. It was just like, that kind of life, not a life where just happiness was happiness, and it wasn't what you had that made you happy. You understand? So it was just those kind of things. But at the same time, I was still then going back to a house where I saw expensive and luxury cars, and we would go to fancy dinners. And so I just had these two different lives at the same time. I saw what it was like to struggle deeply financially, right? Because of course, we were happy. We were with my dad. We were doing things that made us happy. But at the same time, it was like a huge shock, because I was living literally two lives. I was seeing what it was to be poor, and I was seeing what it was to have money. So these two influences literally played an enormous role in my life. And I think that's where I got to where I am now, because I started making my own money at the age of 8 years old. So that answers your question, right? Because I started making money at the age of 8 years old, and not really a lot of people can say that, because when you're 8 years old, you're just kind of going to school, having play dates, doing all these things. But for me, it was like, I know that if I want anything, I'm gonna need to make my own money so I can get that thing. Because although I was living in a luxury house with my mom, it was still my stepdad. It wasn't my mom that had that luxury, so it wasn't his obligation to give me all those luxury things that maybe his kids had, because I was just, like the son of his new wife, so it wasn't, I had to earn my own things.
Yeah.
So when I was 8 years old, one of the ways that I started to make money, which may interest you, is I wanted to become a sneakerhead, right? I wanted to start selling limited edition shoes because I saw that was like the huge trend. I saw the middle schoolers that were doing it. I was an 8-year-old, but I saw the middle schoolers that were doing it. I had one of my stepbrothers that was doing it too. So, however, I didn't have $120 to get my first pair of shoes. So what I did is I went ahead and I started cleaning people's shoes. And I said, let me clean your limited edition shoes for $10 a piece. Because this wasn't going to be a business that I was going to do for a long time. It was just a business that I was going to do so I could get my first $120 and start my sneaker business. So what I did is I cleaned 12 pairs of shoes, $10 each, made them spotless, returned them, had $120. Next weekend, I went camping out at Foot Locker with my dad. We got there at 10 p.m., stayed there till 7 a.m. I got my first pair of shoes for $120. Sold them the next morning on Facebook for $600, made like $450 profit. Okay. And then from there, I just kept going with shoes until I was 13. I was just shoes, selling, getting. And that was a great business. So that was like one of my first businesses that I started. It wasn't like crazy sustainable like what I'm doing now. It's like a legit real company, it's a little, but that was working for me. And to answer a little bit more of your question of how my parents were reacting to that, well, when I was 8 and until 13, my mom kept my money because I didn't have a bank account open. So she would just keep my money in her safe. And one of the things that I always talk about is that my mom never really trusted me. Because I would be like, hey, Mom, so there's this shoe that I need to buy for $700, but I promise you tomorrow I'm going to sell it for $2,000. And she wouldn't believe me, right? Because it's like a 12-year-old saying, Mom, I need $700 for my account. And I'm telling you, Mom, that I'm going to sell them tomorrow, but I just need those $700. She's like, great. Like, I don't trust giving you $700 right now. Like, what if something happens? Like, you're only 12. Like, you know what I mean? So it was just a never-ending, like, discussion of her not having that trust in me until one day she just realized that I would always bring the money back that I told her. So then she just had more trust in me. And that's something that's kind of cool to see grow along the years, because now, like, as I'm older, obviously I deal with my own money, my own stuff, my own taxes, my own bank account, but she has full trust in me. And that kind of concludes the question that you originally asked me. How do your parents feel about the whole entrepreneur thing? And it's basically like over the last, 10 years, 11 years, I've gained so much trust from them that I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that money back. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be at the best. I'm going to do whatever it takes so that my risks turn into reality. And another thing that I want to talk to you about that's very important, that you can quote this even, is that I personally believe that there's no such thing as failure. Okay, you've probably heard a lot of people say that you need to fail to succeed, you need to fail to succeed. Let me finish that for you. I personally believe that there's no such thing as failure, because if you fail and you're so persistent to undo that failure and turn it into success, then there was no failure, right? Yeah. Because you may have failed in the middle, but if you fix that failure because you did whatever you can to fix that failure, then it no longer would have been a failure. Because, for example, when I started Womp, right, you guys see it as like, oh, like Dre just started Womp and it was just like a hit right away, right? So many people were just transformed right away. The first month, who's going to believe me? Right? Who's going to believe that I can actually transform your body, right? After a first month of me grinding, texting thousands of people every day that I can transform their body, doing it every single day without stopping and not seeing any results, I could have given up right there, right? Because I could have considered that a failure. I would have said, no, this idea is a failure. It's just not for me, right? But what I did was I just didn't stop. That's the thing that nobody sees about me. I don't stop. If something doesn't work, I'm going to do whatever I can until it works, because I'm so passionate about what I do, and I know that it will work. So that's what I did. I kept going with Womp. I said I'm not going to stop until I transform so many people's bodies like I did. And so that's what happened. The only reason that I started growing it was because of the credibility, right? I started transforming one person's body. So then that person was like, whoa, now he transformed his, why not mine? So then more and more and more. And that's what I want you to understand from me, that I could have stopped when I failed.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And that's what you need to understand. And that's a message that all entrepreneurs, or maybe people that are just coming into entrepreneurship, need to understand. That if you truly believe in your idea, if you truly believe in yourself, don't just fail when you fail in the beginning. Push through that failure until it's no longer a failure. And that's what I believe in now. That's what my stepdad also taught me that, and that's what he believes in himself. And he's, like I said, very successful. So I've taken that. It's worked for me, and I believe that it will work for anyone else.
Yeah.
And that's the message that I want you to understand too, because that's very important for you to kind of digest that and think about that and how that may play a role in your current businesses or your next business, because it's so important to keep freaking going and not just hopping around to the next one. Because if you just hop around to the next one, then you're going to waste so much of that time that if you just would have dedicated 2 more weeks to pushing through, maybe it would have turned into something that you originally dreamed of. 100%. Right?
Yep. Now, do you think that, I know that you played soccer growing up. Do you think that soccer gave you that kind of like competitive mindset, or that sort of like mindset to just like go out there and give it your all? Because when you're on the soccer field, that's it. Like you have one game and you have one time to prove yourself. So do you think that had any attribute to anything that you do now or no?
First things first, I want to tell you that I love your questions.
Okay. Yeah,
I can see. Just a little quick shout out to Gavin's hard work. I want you guys all to know that these are questions that he prepared for. It's something that he did overnight, and now we made it happen, and I'm extremely proud of him, and that's why I love this kid, and that's why I'm on this podcast.
Thank you.
Number 2, now let me start with this question. Discipline and commitment are not taught to you in school, right? They may be in some shape or form taught to you in school because you have to wake up every day at a certain time, right? For some people, it's like getting dragged out of bed. If some people, it's just like, oh, that's what I have to do. So it's not really discipline and commitment, because it's not like it's their choice, right? So we can both fairly say that discipline and commitment are not taught in school. That's why so many people that never had something throughout their lives that gave them discipline and commitment don't have discipline and commitment. They don't even know what that is. They've never even looked it up. They've never even thought about it. And that's why it's one of the main important things that I try to teach, because it's simply impossible to do anything without discipline and commitment. You can't
100%.
stick to a diet without discipline and commitment. You can't start a business without discipline and commitment. You can't start a podcast without discipline and commitment. You can't do absolutely anything without discipline and commitment. And that's why I really like your question, because you asked it perfectly. And yes, soccer was what taught me discipline and commitment. If I didn't have soccer, then maybe I would have never learned. Maybe I would have learned it somewhere else. But soccer is the main place where I learned it from, because soccer was something that, it was a dream for me. Soccer is where everything I'm doing now came from, okay? And I'll tell you exactly why. What happened with me in soccer was that I realized that wishing, praying, and hoping will not get you anywhere. Yep. Because I wished every single time that birthday cake came around, I wished to be a professional soccer player. Every time I prayed at night, I wished to be a professional soccer player. But I was not up at 5 a.m. training. I was not contacting every single coach in the world. I was not doing everything that I had to do. I was not working my ass off the way I am now. I was not going every single day and sacrificing every little thing to be a professional soccer player. I was just wishing. And I was just, playing soccer, training every day. But I was just like the average person that was training soccer every day. And that's what didn't separate me from the rest. I thought that if I just wished, that if I just prayed, then, I would be a professional soccer player. And then that dream slowly started fading. And then what happened when the birthday cake came around? I would say, no, you know what? I'm not going to be a professional soccer player. This year, I'm going to wish that I just become a college soccer player. So every year, the dream started downgrading and fading because I wasn't doing what was required to make that dream a reality. And that's what I've learned now, that if I want to transform 1 trillion lives, like I say, if I want to be the happiest person in the world like I am right now and forever, there's going to be so much that I need to do. And to be honest with you, I used to pray every single day. Like every 2 seconds, no matter what would happen to me, I pray. And some people may take this wrong. Some people may take this bad because you should pray also when you're grateful, which I do sometimes. But I'm going to be completely honest. When you begin to create your life the way I have, everything that has happened in the last year was envisioned and created by me, just so you understand that. Everything. Okay, it's been written down and then turned into reality. Every little thing, the place where I am right now, what I've done, everything. And when you start to create your own life, you don't really pray anymore because there's no hoping and wishing. It's just like, this is what's going to happen. And that's what I have done. And that's why it's so important that you understand that, because what I'm doing is I'm creating my life, right? So I'm not wasting time wishing anymore because I'm telling myself that I'm going to do everything possible to turn my vision into reality. And that's what I want you to grab up from this. That's what I got from soccer, okay?
Yeah.
What I got from soccer was that you can wish, you can pray, you can train like the average, but if you're not doing every little thing it requires to turn that dream into reality, then it will not happen. It simply will not happen. And that's what I need. Everybody that may hop in this, truly listen to that, because that's the most important thing that you will hear in your entire life, because there's people like my father. I'm not going to call him out. I probably won't sentence this because I don't really want him to hear this, but it's just going to be some facts, okay? The other day I called my dad. I never really talked to my dad about his personal life, but I help my dad a lot. I love my dad a lot. We talk all the time. I go to his restaurant and I help him with everything. My dad is someone who is still struggling financially. Okay, my dad is someone who I've helped with loans. My dad is someone who I've always been there. I'm always working my ass off for him, helping him. Okay, and he can't believe that he's still struggling financially after being in this country for 25 years, coming with nothing, having something, and now falling back down to having nothing again. And the other day I started asking him, I said, Dad, I never asked him this question. I said, Dad, what are some of your goals? He said, my goal, my dream is to be able to make enough money so that I could then teach people how to make money. My dad's in the restaurant business. He's a restaurant owner. And he told me that, and I had never heard him say that to me in my entire life. And I said, Dad, do you have that written down anywhere? He said, no, I don't need to write it down. And I said, you know that there's skills and requirements that are needed to turn your vision into reality, right? And that if you don't write it down, I'm telling you, it's not going to happen, because that's one of the things that's required. That's what successful people teach, right? Because that's what they have all done. All successful people have similar characteristics, similar habits, similar traits. Because success is anything, dude. At the end of the day, success is you achieving that dream that you had, and that's your success. Because we're not going to define success. Success is whatever it is for that one person, but it's them achieving their own success. And if you don't do the requirements, which is why I'm so passionate about Good Life Express, because I'm literally teaching these things that they're not taught anywhere. And if you don't learn them now, you'll never know. Like my dad could learn so much from Good Life Express. But let me continue to what I'm saying. So I said, Dad, have you ever written down your goal? He said, no, I don't need to write down. And I said, you're planning on making a lot of money to then teach people how to make money. But when was the last time you sat down to read about how to make money? And he said, no, I've already read so much in my life. I don't have time to read anymore. I'm working 80 hours a week. I come home every day at 1 a.m. I'm tired as hell. I need to disconnect. I can't be reading. And I said, okay, fair enough. But then don't expect your dream to become a reality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
If you're not doing that extra mile to wake up at 8 a.m. to get those 20 pages of reading in that may take you to the next level and give you ideas that may come into your head, and don't expect your vision to turn into reality. Because you can stay up till 3 a.m. praying and wishing that, fuck, man, God, I've been poor for so long. Can you just fucking help me? Well, let me tell you something, that's not going to work. Because what God does is it boosts, in my opinion, with believing in God, which is good. I don't have anything against it. I still do it sometimes. What I believe in is that it just boosts that confidence in you, right? It kind of reassures you that God is on your side this time. So kill it, because God is watching you, right? But if you're not doing everything that it takes, God doesn't work. And people have all experienced that. Everyone has experienced that. And that's why some people hesitate about God. That's why some people don't believe in God. And that's what I really want you guys to understand. That if you're not going to learn and you're not going to do everything required to turn your dream into reality, it's not going to happen. Yeah. If my dad's not going to stay up and wake up at 8 a.m. to read 20 pages on how to make money, he's not going to get any ideas on how he can make more money or how he can level up, because he's only going to keep his brain at the exact state that he's at. Every time I read, I level up. Every time I read, I learn something new. Every time I read, I'm at the next level. And for all of you guys out there that don't like reading because you were assigned to read every single day in school for a test, for a homework assignment, you were graded on annotation, so you couldn't even enjoy the book. You had a deadline for the book, so you couldn't even read it at your own pace. Well, then let me tell you, reading has an amazing side to it. Once you develop what your interest is, what your passion is, go ahead, grab a book that you're truly interested in, and you'll see it from a different viewpoint than anyone else, and you'll be able to dissect things from the book that will have a huge role in your entire life.
Well, I guess I've always wanted to ask you this question because I've never known myself, but what did it take out of you to drop out of college? What fit mentally in your head, what had to go down to be like, damn, I have to make this move in order to achieve success in life? Zero? Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Zero. Okay? Because look, go back to soccer really quick, come back to this. Remind me if I take too long because I kind of wander off into ideas.
You're all good.
Okay, another thing soccer taught me. With soccer, I was confident. Some places, some days, some times of the week, some games. Then I would step into a team that, like, yeah, maybe they're better than me. Maybe someone on that team is better than me. So what would happen? My confidence would start to drop. And when my confidence dropped, I was like a different player. Like I couldn't be good because I was thinking about my confidence the entire game. I was like, dude, is my confidence going to start being good now? Is my confidence going to be good? I would touch the ball, I would mess up, and I'll be like, oh, why can't I be good? Like my confidence is ruining me. My confidence is ruining me. And now over the last 2 years, I've started to create Good Life Express. I started to realize that confidence is a skill. Okay, it's a skill set. Confidence is not a personality. Okay, there's some people that simply have it easier to them because they're more naturally talented at that strength that they're currently pursuing, for say soccer in my case, right? I could be more confident because I'm naturally better than the person on my right, but maybe I'm not as confident as a person that's even better than me. And so then I started, as I stopped playing soccer, because I was never able to capture that mental side of the game, which led me to not turning my vision into reality as well, right? Because if you're not confident, you're not going to achieve anything. And so that was what happened to me. I didn't understand how to be confident consistently. I only knew how to be confident when I scored in the first 10 minutes of the game, or I scored 10 games before that in a row. You know, so it was always like a luck for me. It was luck. I would be confident one day, and the next I wouldn't. I wouldn't know when I was going to be confident until I learned that confidence is a skill, and that if I wanted to be confident, I was going to need to dig through books, dig through research until I learned what was holding back my confidence. And that's what I did. And so what I got from that was that what we were just talking about. If you do everything required to be confident, there is going to be nothing stopping you from being confident. And let me give you an example that might help other people that are listening as well.
Yep.
Some of the things that hold people back from being confident, one of the biggest things that hold people back from being confident in just general life, which is why the fitness industry is so big, is their body. And what I just said before is that if you do everything required to be confident, you're going to be confident. The thing is, people aren't confident and they're not doing everything to be confident. So they're sitting back, they're not confident at all, but they're still letting that addiction get to them and craving through those chips, eating bad when they see it, not saying, you know what, today is the day I'm going to master my mind and I'm going to do this myself, because they're not taking their time to learn these things.
Yeah.
And now I want to go back to your question because I don't want to get too off topic. And the reason that I was so confident when I dropped out of school, it wasn't even like I dropped out of school, dude. I was just like, why am I here?
Yeah.
And it's because, like, there's no risk for me, man. Like, I believe in what I do so much. Like, I don't like to sound cocky, but sometimes I'm just like, dude, I'm special. You know, like, I
think that's what it takes. Like, I think you have to have that mindset of you knowing that you are great. And that's the only way to get past that sort of hump, because otherwise you're going to have no confidence, and it's not going to allow you to push past anything, you know?
There's two things though. There's knowing that you're great, which is one of them.
Yeah.
And then doing everything to be great. Because like I said, you can hope and tell yourself you're great, and you can fill yourself up with all this stuff that you're creating when your mind is at a positive state. But if you're not doing every little thing that you have to do to be successful, it's not going to happen. The same thing goes for me. I'm not a god, dude. I'm not perfect. I always tell myself on days like today that I don't wake up at 8 in the morning. I tell myself something's going to haunt you, and something's going to make that decision that you just made not let you be your version of success. That's what I tell myself. When I do something that I know is going against my dream, that's what I tell myself. I tell myself that if I do that, I'm not going to be successful. And that's how I feel now. Because after soccer, I was like, I didn't do everything to make it happen, right? And so that's how I feel now. If I don't make everything to make this happen, then it's simply not going to happen. And I can be confident. I can think I'm great. I can think all these things. But if I'm not doing every little thing that it requires, that's what I need you to get. I see that it still hasn't gone to your head. That's what I need you to just let that sink in. You don't, because I know there's no like a book, right, that you can read that, oh, if you do every little thing, then you're going to be successful, right? There's no like book telling you each of these things, but there's not an actual book, but there's been modern humanity for 200,000 years. That's what people don't understand. By this time, people have been able to study the roots and the routes that people have taken that have led them there. Like, if you get a whiteboard and you get 2 whiteboards and you give them to a very successful man, and you give the other whiteboard to a like middle class, like average guy, and you say, write your habits down. But the other person doesn't get to look at who's writing the habits. They just put down their habits on that whiteboard, and then you have to guess which one is a successful person and which one is not. You will be able to know in a second.
Yeah.
Because you can tell. Because the habits are what get you there. The skills that are what get you there. There are requirements to success that people just don't know about, or people just don't believe in, because they've never taken their time to study this. And this is what I study. This is what I study in my daily life. All the books that I read are based on this, the routes and the people's life experience. And that's what I'm really interested in, the philosophy end. And that's why a lot of people think that what I do is crazy, because I'm here portraying myself as like a god, or I'm here portraying myself as telling you how to live a good life. And that's not what I'm doing. I'm not telling anybody how to live a good life. I'm telling people how to live a life that I did. Okay, I got all these skills that I now teach. I implemented them into my life, and my entire life changed. Everything. My confidence, dude. I never think about confidence. Like, it doesn't even cross my mind. It used to go through my mind 1,000 times a day. My happiness, I used to not be that happy. I used to tell my mom I was pissed all the time. I used to say all these things. I was never really happy. Now I literally don't think that I've been sad in the last 600 days. I don't think there's been a day where I've been sad. And these are things that I just didn't wake up one day and I was like, oh, now I'm happy forever. No, man, these are things that I practiced, and I learned the skill of, and I learned the skill of love, and how to make Danny love me every single day. Even when we're getting in an argument, I'm the one that turns that argument around, and I'm like, and I know how to fix it because I studied these things that some people don't study. And that's why I'm so passionate about Good Life Express, because I'm here teaching things that have really, really worked for me and are not working for all of my students that are getting inside, right? Because they're proven to work. I'm not just saying some bullshit. They're all proven to work. They have literally worked for me in every aspect of my life, whether it's wealth, love, health, and happiness. I teach them all. They've worked for me. I know they've even worked for you, which I'm going to go ahead and give you free access after this podcast for having me as a gift. And I know that if you do take time to just look through it like if it's a book. Watch the videos like if you're reading a book. Don't kill yourself and watch it overnight. Just every single night before you go to sleep, watch 2 videos. Every single morning when you wake up, watch 2 videos. Refresh your mind. Try doing the morning routine. There's things that you're going to see in there that you've already developed because you've already taken your time to learn them. Yeah. Right? But there's so many people out here in the world that have not taken their time to learn one of the things that I teach. And it all wraps up to the question that you asked me. Was I confident when I dropped out of college? Dude, it wasn't even like a confidence thing. It was just like, look, this is my life. this is the only life that I want to live. I was never gonna get a job. Dude, if I'm struggling and I'm living on the streets one day, like God forbid, I'm still not gonna apply for a job. My mind is so crazy. I have millions of ideas every day that I'll think of an idea right there and I'll go ahead and do it. And that's how I am. Like, I'm telling myself right now, look, what I'm doing is not being taught in school. Okay? So Instagram stuff that I do, all these, like my mastermind, like me talking, all these things, they're not taught in school. Could I have waited 2 years and could I have taken a public speaking class that could have helped me in a certain way and made me even better than I am right now? 100%. However, then I wouldn't be at where I'm at right now. In these last 5 months that I haven't been in school, I've done so much more because I only have one focus and I'm lasered on every day on one thing. I don't need to wake up and focus on what I need to accomplish and then focus on that assignment that I need to accomplish at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So that's where my mind was. It was like, okay, this is what I want to do with my life. This is the only life that I want to live. If I'm in school right now, I'm going to need to wait 4 years to turn my vision into reality because school is going to continue to hold me back and I can't travel and speak around the world if I'm in school. Even if you say you can, it's just not going to happen because I'll fail out of school. I'll waste my money. You understand? Like, there's so many things that go into it, and it was just like, I was just beating every single answer. And for me, dude, even when I got to school, like when I got accepted to UF, like the average kid is like, I got accepted. For me, it was like, I just never had that connection.
Yeah.
Right. I never like watched any schools like growing up, like football, like I was never, like I never had that dream school. For me, it was just like, I'm going to take the ACT because I'm almost going to take it. I'm going to do good in school because, I enjoy being disciplined and committed and doing well. And then I'm just going to go to college wherever makes my mom happy. And then I did that. And then I was there. And then I was doing so well. And I was so passionate about what I was doing. And I started learning. This is what completely changed. I started learning the power of focus. I learned that you can only focus on so much to achieve so much because we only have so much time in this world. And if you spend time trying to focus on so many things, then you're never going to reach that end goal in time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had that equation figured out, it was the answer was there.
What about your habits now? Like, how have they changed? So you started out before college and anything, and you probably had habits developed in high school, but how have they changed since high school?
That's a tough question because, as you can see, I've been on my shit.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been on my shit since I was 8 years old. Okay, I've been grinding.
Let me ask you this: what are your top 5 habits now that you do on a daily basis that have to get done, like no matter what?
It all happens here, so it all happens in my mind. I'll tell you some of them. Okay. Every single day I remind myself that I'm the happiest person in the world. Okay, people can listen to this and be like, yo, who the hell is this kid talking this bullshit? Like, happiest kid in the world. The happiest person in the world is a monk. Okay. I'm the happiest person in the world. I remind myself that every single day. And I'm always telling myself that because I'm always happy every single day. So why am I not the happiest person in the world? Now, I'm not saying that I'm the happiest. Like, I'm not going to measure my happy statistics for someone else, like, to find out. No. Me, I'm focused on me in this life. I'm focused on me being the best person I can be. So that's something that I remind myself every day. I remind myself I'm the happiest person in the world. I remind myself every single day that love is a skill. And that if I want love to nourish, okay, that happens to be in my relationship, that happens to be simply just liked by other people, I remind myself the skills that I have learned and that I now need to implement in my life. Okay? Mm-hmm. So when I speak to someone now, I want to make sure that at the end of the conversation, they like me and they enjoy my presence. So I'm going to make them feel good too. And I'm going to remind myself of those things. These are all habits. Okay? They happen here. Okay? The mental is a huge part of everything. They're happening right here. Okay? On top of that, a habit that I have is I love doing this is a physical one. I love doing my morning routine success that's inside Good Life Express.
Yep.
Okay? I think it's like magical. Like, I came up with it after like researching so many other people's morning routine success, and I just compiled it into one that like crazy works for me, filled me up with energy. I think that that's an amazing habit. Okay. Another habit that I have is bringing back my mind and allowing it to focus. Okay. This is a conversation that me and Danny have a lot because I'm someone that just, when I'm in the zone, like when I'm working on my desk and I'm working on the next thing that I'm planning, my mind gets, I start writing down hundreds of ideas of ideas that I can start writing down, 100. My mind just doesn't stop with ideas. Like it's a never ending thing of stopping with ideas. Something that I have to do as a habit is I have to bring back all those ideas and I have to say I need to focus on what I'm doing right now, because if I don't focus on what I'm doing right now, then what I'm trying to focus on right now is going to take me a month to accomplish because I'm going to waste time thinking about all these other ideas. And that's a very important habit that everyone creates, that needs to create, because focus, people, when they hear focus right now, they're thinking about like focusing when you're studying for a test. Like there's a different focus. There's a focus on your general life. And there's a habit that I have because focus is something that I'm, like I said, I'm always having tons of ideas. So I constantly need to bring back my brain, bring back my mind, and let it focus. Okay, that's 4 I've given you. Okay, I've given you. Now my 5th. These are all off the top of my head, so it's like, you know, it's a little challenging. But the original question you asked, some of the habits that I have now that have really impacted my life, correct? Mm-hmm. So I told you, reminding myself that I'm happy every single day. I told you that it was implementing what I learned from the skill of love, because that has led me to being happy too, making quality relationships, having other people like me, having Danny love me every day, all these things. Okay, then number 3, I told you that it was my morning routine success. And number 4, I told you that it was focus. And number 5 is going to be confidence. Okay, reminding myself, okay, before I even get on this podcast call, when I'm waking up and I'm ready to dial in with you, I'm telling myself, like at first I was like, is this going to be a bad podcast? Like, am I going to mess up? Like, am I like not prepared? Rewire my mind. I'm confident. Rewire. Yeah. I'm confident. All those negative thoughts that I'm having, bring it back. Bring it back. And now 1 second, something that I want to touch up on. Okay, I just got you those 5. Now I want to touch up on something. I watch a lot of videos all the time, learning. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of studies, all these things. The other day, I got some comments from people. I'm not going to mention any names, but people are like, oh, you think you can actually cure anxiety and depression? And I'm like, yeah, 100%. And the reason I'm telling you that right now is because anxiety is more or less when you constantly have self-doubt, right? Mm. You constantly have like a voice in your head and doubting yourself, or a voice in your head telling you things, and it makes you anxious. Because that voice is just there and it's messing you up and this. And I'll tell you one quick way to cure it that I was researching and doing some study on the other day. It's called the 5-second rule. When those voices come into your head, and this is going to apply to you. Maybe if you've never even said and that you have anxiety, this is going to apply to you. When you're taking your real estate license test, I don't know if you're going to take it, but when you take it, yep. And there's just an example that can apply to anyone. Any test, anything that may cause you to be anxious, put it this way. If you have anxiety, think about it like this. Anytime you feel that anxiety is coming to you, take 5 seconds, bring your mind right back to where it was, release those negative thoughts, and go back into your thing. And I'm not telling you that me telling you right now, this is going to cure everything for you. Why? Because everything starts with consistency. But if somebody is consistent with doing that for 180 days, bringing back those thoughts and throwing those negative thoughts away, right when they feel that it's coming, they'll cure their anxiety.
Yeah. I always tell people who have anxiety that it's mainly a repetition thing. Like the main thing or the main reason probably why you're having anxiety is because you haven't done the action enough. If you're taking a test that you're really scared for, odds are you probably haven't prepared enough, or you probably are not ready to take that test. Like that's probably the odds. And I always tell everyone, when you're having anxiety in any action, just to kind of recoup and understand either, hey, I haven't prepared enough, but I'm still going to give it a try. Or 2, you say, fuck it. And like, it's got to get done either way. So why put any of that negative energy in your brain And I mean, that's hard to explain to anyone because it's really a thing that comes from within. Like you really, I don't know how to explain this, but for me, it was always, whenever I had anxiety or whatever, it was always something that came from within. Like nobody around me everyone would try to comfort me with like nice words, but it wasn't that. It was always something that came from me. Like I had to go out there. I had to put in the extra time, the extra effort, whatever it was, in order to achieve my goal, because that's all I could do in order to relieve that anxiety, relieve the stress. And like in the last 2 years, I haven't had any since that opportunity. So,
and let me tail off on what you just said as well.
Yeah.
I mean, in the beginning, you were getting to it, but then you kind of got drifted away. And I love what you said. It allows me to even make this more clear to you, something that I wanted to touch on. Everything that I'm saying is stuff that I've learned, right? So that's how it works. So I want you to truly believe the things that I tell you, okay? And what I want to let you know is that anxiety is a habit. It's a habit that you create, right? The people that are that are anxious and have anxiety, that's a habit that they've created. They've continuously been anxious. They've continuously been anxious. Boom, boom, boom. They never stop. So now they develop that habit and they list themselves as having anxiety because that's a habit that they have. And that same habit is like I can't find the right example, but I want to put it into like, hey, you going to the gym, you eating healthy is a habit.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not like studying and following a diet anymore. It's just a habit, right? You just like to eat healthy. And it's like, what if I said, hey, Gavin, like, stop eating healthy? Like, it's hard, not only because you know that you're going to, that's why I don't really like the sample, because it's hard because not only are you going to know that you're going to gain weight, but on top of that, you're not used to not eating healthy. So it's like, you're holding me back from my habit. And that's why people refrain so much from having anxiety, and they think that medication is going to be the answer because that's a habit that they have. And so many people don't know how to get rid of habits. And now I'm going to use a better example.
Okay.
It's like telling a person that eats unhealthy to stop eating unhealthy. It's so hard for them because they have that habit, and transforming your habits is one of the hardest things in the world. It's one of the hardest things in the world for any human being, and that's why people have this visual in their head that curing anxiety is impossible, because transforming your habits is one of the hardest things in the world, and only some people can do it, right? Yeah. Not everyone can say, today I'm going to start this diet and I'm going to push through until I look amazing, like this picture I have right here, right? There's going to be obstacles in the way. They're going to get carried off, and what's going to happen? They're going to have a 360-degree transformation and land right back where they started. And that's what's so important to touch up on. Yes, anxiety isn't going to be so easy to cure. It's going to take tons of consistency, tons of sacrifice, tons of practice. But if you do have that consistency and that practice, and you wire your mind to go through with what you're saying, and you use that 5-second rule to empty those negative thoughts that come in your head, yes, you will cure anxiety.
Okay. I guess
you understood that, right?
Yeah.
Habit, right? It being a habit, and habits are so hard to transform. That's just what I want you to keep in your mind.
For touching on the habit standpoint, how do you go about transforming habits in Good Life Express, or how did you even do it in WOMP when it came to a physical standpoint?
So look, habits are something that come from here. Okay, so in Good Life Express, I give you hundreds of habits that will lead you to achieving all those 4 things that I speak about, right? I touch on all those things, but I don't have the physical ability to jump out of that computer, and when he closes that computer to go do one of his bad habits, I don't have that ability to go and grab him and say, sit back right here, right? I don't have that full ability. And that's why I'm saying this, because, you know, the habits come from your mind and your decisions, right? You can learn everything in this world, but if you don't implement any of them, your habits aren't going to change. Your life isn't going to change. And that's what I make clear to them. I say, you know, this is your time. Okay, I have a video in there where I say, this is your time to decide your life. Mm-hmm. Decide the life you're going to live. Okay, this doesn't mean that you need to decide what career or what passion you're going to have. It means decide the person you're going to be. Okay, you've made that decision. You told yourself, you're going to live to be the best person Gavin can possibly be, right? You've had that decision with yourself, and that's why you continue to set new goals, new challenges, and new habits for yourself, because you've told yourself that. And that's what I make clear to them, that if you want to achieve that life that you're dreaming for, that life filled with love, health, wealth, and happiness, well, then you have everything here, and now it's up to you to make that decision to live that life, right? Because you don't control someone's body, you don't control their mind, and they have those decisions to make in their life, and it's up to them to make that decision. And yeah, dude, over 1,000 people got involved, and I think only like 200 people actually went through with it. Right? Yeah. 800 people, they try and they give up because they weren't able to master those habits. And yeah, dude, I taught them ways how to have habits. I taught them ways how to, be efficient. I taught them all of these things, how to keep their mind intact, keep them strong. But, people only decide what they want to learn, what they want to hear. So that's something that, it's very hard to teach someone how to transform their habits.
What tips would you give to anyone who's trying to build a business? Because you are an entrepreneur at heart. Like that's what it really comes down to. So for anyone who may think that they are an entrepreneur or may think that they have the ability to open their own business, what would be their first step in going about it?
I mean, that's a tough one, and I'm going to tell you why it's a tough one, okay? I believe that a lot of what you consume, okay, is what you end up becoming, right? So if you're somebody that watches entrepreneur videos on Instagram all day, you're going to think that you're going to become a beast entrepreneur, and you're going to say, okay, that's what I want. If you're somebody that, watches stupid videos on Instagram all day, going through stories, watching people brain that you're going to go to college, and you're going to want to do that too, because that's what you're consuming, and that's what your mind is wired to kind of reflect on, right? And that's why that's so interesting, because right now we're seeing, like, I know Gary Vee talks about this a lot, we're seeing like a rise in entrepreneurs, right? Because people are on Instagram and on their phones, so people are seeing that entrepreneur lifestyle, right? But people don't see Gavin waking up at 8 a.m. on, like, while he's in Boston, when he could be hanging out doing whatever that they would possibly do, waking up to set up a podcast. Okay, those are the things that you need to tell them. Yeah. That, like, okay, dude, go ahead, be an entrepreneur, but understand that you're not going to succeed unless you understand that you have to sacrifice so much. There's so much, and so much you need to sacrifice, and so much you need to learn, and so many habits you need to develop to be that successful entrepreneur. And one thing that I also want to touch up on, I'm not here to sell Good Life Express at all. Like, of course, I'm just so passionate about it. Of course. I truly believe that if someone really does want to be an entrepreneur, they need to learn what is taught inside Good Life Express, because Good Life Express hands it to them in a silver platter. And one of the things that I also mentioned that is because being an entrepreneur isn't only about generating your own wealth. Being an entrepreneur is about generating your own wealth and still being able to balance love, health, wealth, and happiness in your life. Because there's so many entrepreneurs that are billionaires, and if they're in the hospital because they're overweight and have a disease and they're unhealthy and nobody loves them and they don't have a love life, then dude, they're not going to talk good about entrepreneurship. Like, they don't care that they have all that money because they don't have all these other four major components of life. And that's what's so important. If you're becoming an entrepreneur, you need to understand balance. You need to understand that you still need to give love to your family. You need to understand that you still need to have loving friends. You still need to understand that you still need to take care of your body. Even if you're going to work all these hours, you still need to find time to take care of your body, eat healthy, replenish yourself, consistently find ways to be happy, do things that make you happy, because if not, entrepreneurship drains you out. Because entrepreneurship isn't going to your job and then having that schedule where, okay, I'm going to work 9 to 5 and then I'm going to go to the gym at 7 and then I'm going to go hang out with my friends at 8. It doesn't have that. You're on your own schedule. You create your own schedule every single day of your life. And that's one of the biggest things that people need to understand. If you want to be an entrepreneur, okay, you're going to understand that so much comes with it, because it's not only about getting to the end goal and reaching that dream amount of money in your bank account that you want. It's about getting that amount of money in your bank account that you want to be financially stable while balancing all these other things, right? Because both you and I could be so much wealthier right now if we didn't talk to any of our friends, if we didn't talk to any of our family members, and if we didn't care about being happy, right? Because 100%. All we would do all day is just focus on our business and go all in, and not having any time for balance. Okay? And that's one of the most important things that they need to understand. If they want to be an entrepreneur, great. Give it a shot. Understand the sacrifice. Understand that you are your own schedule. Understand that you still need to balance on all these things. Understand that there's so much that you need to learn. Understand that there's so many books that you need to learn. Understand that you're never done learning. And understand that shit's hard, bro. Because as you know, entrepreneurs, ups and downs, 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 ups and downs. And if you can't take those downs, then you're out. You're out. And I think that's one of the things that have helped me stay up for so long is being able to create and control my mind, my life, and my happiness. Because once you have that set, that's going to happen. Because, Gavin, what I do is, like I don't stop until that dream that I had is a reality. Like, you understand? Like, I just keep fucking going. Like, there's no turning back. Like, I'm not going to stop Good Life Express until I've transformed so many freaking lives. I'm just not. Like, I don't care. I don't care what happens. I'm just not. And that's what keeps me always up, bro. Because I can be down when I'm not doing as well as I thought it was going to do, or it's not touching as many lives as I thought it would. I can be down, but I stay up because I know that if I go down and if I have those down moments, I'm only wasting time. When you're sad, you're only wasting time. Every single human in this life, their end goal and their current goal is to be happy. And when you're sad, you're not happy. So what are you doing? You're wasting valuable lifetime.
Yeah.
So that's what I put into my head, that every time I'm sad, I'm like, dude, stop. There's absolutely no reason for you to be sad. Like, you can't go back in time. You can't do anything. So only focus on how to cure that and bring back that happiness and create that happiness. And that's what I do. And that's what led me to, having these ups for a longer time than always roller coaster.
Sweet. To kind of wrap things up, we always do segments on this thing. So I guess I'd like to ask you the questions that I usually ask everyone, which is, first, you're on an island. You got 3 things to bring. What are you bringing? 2, if you had to meet 5 people on this planet Earth, who are you meeting? And 3, what is your dream location to travel and why?
Okay, so let me start with the island one.
Yeah.
3 things to bring. Okay, I'd bring. And wait, but hold up. You're on an island and you can only bring so much food. How, like,
okay, you get unlimited supply of that one thing that you have, but you.
Okay, so, but like when I say food, does it didn't have to be like a certain type of food or like a food?
No. It could.
Everyone has to say food.
Well, yeah. Food and water don't count. It's
okay,
what you're bringing after that.
Okay, food, Danny.
Okay.
and my laptop.
All right, those are your 3?
Things.
Okay.
Yeah, food, Danny, and my laptop. That'll keep me.
And then, who are you meeting? Who are your top 5 like looked up to people that you would love to meet?
Okay, Luis Suarez.
Okay.
He's from Uruguay,
Yeah.
Barcelona player. I'd love to meet him because I've always feel like even though I just watch him on TV, I always feel like I can relate to his I feel like he struggles with confidence too.
Okay.
Like he's always had that mind, like kind of similar to mine. So I'd always love to have that conversation with him. Someone else that I like to talk to that I just recently started really paying attention to is Tony Robbins. I know that's kind of like a cliche one because some people say that, but I feel like I can actually really relate to everything that he does, like his passion sense with all of it. Yeah. Like he's very passionate, and I like that he's not really like. I'm one of these people that like I'm not really into this whole like materialistic stuff. Like you can see, like I don't flex watches. I don't flex, like obviously I have my nice stuff. I look good, but it's not what brings me it's not what satisfies me. And that's what I also see when I was watching a lot of videos on Tony Robbins. It's like what satisfies him is being happy and having love and health and wealth and happiness in his life. And that's the same thing that I go for. Another person that I would like to meet is, I don't know, dude. Like, I never even think about that. Like, I don't really have these people. I'm so focused on what I do that, but I'll just say, like, I don't know, like, Gary Vee, like, I'd meet him. Like, he's kind of cool. He's kind of in the same industry that I do. Like, I don't know, like, I'm not super passionate about him. Like, I don't, like, watch him all the time. But, like, I agree with a lot of the things that he says in some sense. I like kind of seeing someone who's at a much higher point than I am and kind of visualizing myself having that, So, yeah, like, it would be cool to talk to him. Another person is my grandfather's dad, who passed away when he was 52. He was like a crazy businessman, created an empire in Colombia. I never got to meet him, and people say that I would have great conversation with him. So that's someone else that I'd want to meet. Who else, man? I don't know. Maybe Messi, and just see how he's wild. What does he think about in his daily life?
Yeah.
And for the fifth one, I'd like to meet myself in 20 years.
Okay.
So I think that'd be pretty cool.
Where do you envision yourself in 10 years?
Right now,
What do you envision yourself in 10 years from now?
Exactly what I'm doing now, just at a much higher scale and a lot more belief in me. So Good Life Express is still what I'm going to be pushing. There's obviously going to be some tweaks as I go and I learn a lot more that transform more people's lives as I engage with more people. But that's one of the main things that I'm striving for, that I believe in more than ever. So yeah, in 10 years, I visualize myself being exactly where I am right now, but of course at a much higher belief rate. More people are going to believe in me, a lot more credibility, a lot of people are going to see what I've been able to do, a lot of people are going to see what my mind is really about. I still feel that nobody has even seen what my mind is about. You've probably learned more about me right now than on Instagram, scrolling through and seeing my 100%. Videos, right? You can see that this is a lot more different, right? It's not just me posting it for the likes. It's this is my life. This is what I live for. This is my passion. This is what I'm all about. And so, yeah, dude, in 10 years, this is me, bro. Love, health, wealth, and happiness. That's what I'm going to keep on practicing, keep on learning, keep on pushing, keep on teaching. And yeah, man, hopefully, everything's still as amazing as it is right now. I don't hope for anything in 10 years that I don't have now. Just really all I hope for is more people to believe in what I'm actually doing, more people to believe in what I'm saying, because I truly believe in what I'm doing. I truly believe in what I'm saying. And I know that it helps so many people if they cut off that closed mind and just dive into what I'm teaching.
Yeah. So just trying to, on a last note, do you have anyone or any socials you want to plug here? And do you have any last messages to tell anyone or to leave the audience with?
The last message that I'll leave with the audience is, if you are somebody that watched this podcast, if you're somebody that actually took your time to listen, if you're somebody that truly cares about your life, then I say you go back to this podcast on a week or so after you digest what you just listened to. Bring a notebook and a pen and take down some notes on some of the things that both Gavin and I spoke on, because I think that when you actually write things down of what you heard, your mind starts having your own ideas from what you heard, and that's when you kind of develop your own strategy that works for you, and that's really going to bring the best out of you. I think we touched upon some very important things that not many people are speaking on, and I think that it's very important that people kind of write that down, let that sink in, and they understand that in a lot better way. Okay, another thing that I'd like to touch up on is, in this life, something that I'm very passionate about is that I believe you just have to do what you're passionate about and not let anything get in the way of that dream that you may have or that passion that you may have. I just think that you need to do whatever is required to turn it into reality, because it wouldn't be fun to never give up and then reach 60 and you still haven't reached your goal because you've never done anything to do so. So one thing that I want to say is you need to learn a lot about what you're trying to accomplish. Learn a lot about it so that you understand all the skill sets required to make it a reality. And don't ever give up and face a life that you don't want, because it's so much more enjoyable to go through the struggle and end up seeing that vision that you had turn into reality than giving up, living your life saying, what if I would have never gave up, and settling for that job or that life that you truly hate. Because we're all on this planet and it's a beautiful planet. So instead of trying to hate life, let's try to do everything we can to love our lives and live through it. And that's what I want to leave for the audience. And I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy that we were able to finally, do this. And, and yeah, man, I love you. I appreciate you. And I thank you so much for this.
Yeah, love you too. I would like to thank everyone for watching. We are now available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Radio Play, a few other platforms, and we will probably be on more next week. But please leave some love for Dre and love to me, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.